headed inside the library to get books and for story hours and for all kinds of events. And on the show, we have trouble for you, trouble right here in River City. An update on the Community Players production of The Music Man. Smell anything, but they're sure pretty to look at. We'll talk with director Andrew Sharp and find out some background and interesting trivia and details, as well as performance dates about The Music Man.
The historic downtown auditorium in Emerson Center, Wisconsin on Central Avenue. And here's Andrew Sharp, who's the director of the upcoming Community Players play, The Music Man. Now, we are still downtown at the auditorium, as I said, but you are moving to the high school stage finally tomorrow. Today's the 29th, Saturday the 29th. So you're moving there tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we're going to go out there to scout around tomorrow. Rehearsals will start there on Monday. So up to this point, we have been rehearsing here at the City Auditorium. And we want to thank the Richland County Performing Arts Council for allowing us to use the space. As you can see, we have been using it. There's tables and chairs and things like that, scripts and pencils and what have you sitting around. So we've been here for actually 6 weeks. The auditions were here, and we have been rehearsing here for 6 weeks. There's currently 58 people in the cast, so when everybody is on stage, it's very cramped. And we're looking forward to getting out to the high school, much bigger stage, and we can spread out more and have people positioned where they actually are going to be for the show. So We're really looking forward to that. You can see the piano where our choral director, Aaron Starks, has been playing for us every night. And we have been singing the songs now for quite a while. I feel like the songs are sounding very good, and that's very much under control. We have practiced a lot of the steps for the dances, but the real benefit of going out to the high school is going to be able to allow our choreographer, Brittany Hying, to really put people where they need to be and to really rehearse the dances as they should be. One of the advantages of that is going to be that in the Marian the Librarian scene, we're planning on having a central library desk with 2 tables, and the dancers are actually going to dance on the tables, maybe the central library table as well. And we're going to make prop books for them to throw to each other as part of the choreography, and hopefully that will all go well as they throw the books to each other. But we can't really properly rehearse that here because we just don't have
the space would not be correct, obviously.
Right.
The distance.
It just wouldn't work out very well. Then when we vacate here, our orchestral director, Logan Willis, is going to move in with the orchestra, and the orchestra is going to rehearse here. And then obviously at some point they will also move out to the high school with us. Where exactly we're going to put them is still up in the air, as we are still trying to get permission to use the orchestra pit, and I'm hoping that we will be able to do that. So,
Oh, the old orchestra pit conundrum.
right, right.
Well, here we are. How many people have fallen off this stage? I'm going to bring that up again.
Exactly 0.
Okay.
So it's a ridiculous insurance thing. Of course, I'm an attorney, and people curse attorneys. I kind of curse insurance underwriters
Yeah.
and say that they scurry home to their beds every night and hide under their beds all night because they are abject cowards. But so somewhere, someone must have fallen off the edge of a stage into an orchestra pit, and for that reason, all the insurance underwriters went crazy and now will not let people use orchestra pits without covering them with a net. In 30 years, well, in my whole life as doing stage things and theater things, I have never seen anyone fall off the edge of the stage. And right here, I would point out, not to set them off, you could fall off the edge of this stage.
Oh, yes, you could fall off of anything.
You can fall off of anything.
So it's the insurance underwriters, you said?
Right.
Adjusters.
It's the people that decide what they're going to insure and what they're not going to insure that.
But you don't hear a lot of insurance underwriter jokes, like lawyer jokes.
Maybe there should be
There should
insurance
be.
underwriter
Well,
jokes.
after we're done here, we'll
You
sit down
know, when we did Death of a Salesman, I stepped off of a black platform
I was there.
onto a black stage and
Yep.
broke my leg.
That was, yeah, I heard it was pitch black.
This was, I was this far off the ground,
Yep.
but
It
I
was-
wasn't expecting it, and
Well, no, because I heard this thump and then
Yeah.
the other actors came to your
Yeah.
aid. And whoever the
So-
director was, we don't know, but you said, can we get some light in here, please? I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
well, we should have blow taped the edge of that platform. We just hadn't gotten to it yet. Yeah, of course, there's the stage expression of break a leg, and now that has taken a new meaning with
Yep.
me. People tell me not to break a leg because I already have.
And that was on the campus stage.
That was the campus stage out at the Copper Top.
Yeah.
Not the high school, and not here, and I didn't sue anybody.
No.
And I think that my insurance company even asked me how the accident occurred, and I'm pretty sure I told them, and they didn't sue anybody. So
Okay.
we were all good.
We're all good.
Right.
We won't bring it up again.
Right, okay, great.
Getting back to, I was going to ask you something very intelligent, now I don't remember, about the stage out there is much bigger and they have plenty of off-stage room, especially over on this end where you can go outside and exit.
Right, they certainly have more offstage room, it's wing space.
Wing space.
Now, what I really want is a Broadway stage, and for a Broadway stage, they have like a huge amount of wing space, like half a football field on either side, that you can really, really store stuff on. Out at the high school, it's better, but it's really not ideal. Here, of course, this stage was built for vaudeville. I probably say this every time that we're here. And there's 6 dressing rooms on this side, 3 down, 3 up. And there's 6 dressing rooms over here, 3 down, 3 up. So there is a lot of space here. And, as a history major, right now we've got them filled with costumes that we're going to have to transport out to the high school as well. But this was a vaudeville stage, built in 1912, went into use in 1913. There were vaudeville circuits, and so these were actually used by vaudeville performers back in the day, probably until about 1930, when vaudeville basically went away because talking movies became so popular that all of the theaters slowly switched over to movies. First it was movies and vaudeville, and then slowly it was just movies and no more vaudeville. So
I think they showed silent films here, not as a novelty, but back during the 20s, I think.
that would make perfect sense.
And you have a pianist here. I think my mother told me that my grandmother played the piano for a couple of them in the,
Yeah.
well, the silent era.
Well, and there's still there's still a movie screen up there. I'm not seeing it right now. But, well, yeah, it's right there. You can see it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And when the church was here, we had a church here for quite a while, led by Jamie Johnson
Yep.
or other persons. And it was a video church. So they would have the band that would play back here, and then they would lower the projection screen down and project the church service. So yeah, this is still set up to show movies.
And that booth was built for a film projector, I believe, in the...
Probably, although the interesting thing is it's off to the side.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the projector had to be straight on. It might have been, I don't know, where they had it set up in the center there, where we have that small projector set up. And when I say we, I mean our CPAC, not community players.
Well, I remember when it must have been after they built that, they were showing old films of Richland Center, and this place was packed, and this would have been in the 80s.
Huh, okay.
And there was no sound, just like here's the old mill pond and stuff like that. And it was
Wow.
there was a Howard Hansen, who was a local, was on stage narrating, said, well, there's so-and-so, and there's so-and-so on the screen. And so anyways,
Yeah.
and look at the seats for all the thin people.
Yes, yes.
Everyone walked.
All the small, thin people. We have some vintage costumes out at the campus. Well, we had vintage costumes out at the campus. I don't know what's going to become of them. But they're all too small for us modern actors. I guess we do have Michael Ames, who is playing the Music Man in our show.
Yes.
And he's not a huge guy. And maybe the vintage costumes would actually fit him. And it's kind of amusing because I don't know how it happened. I got a bunch of very tall men in this show, Daniel Carlson and Bill Twining and other people I could name, Lance Ottman. And then we have Michael, who is not that tall, and it makes for an amusing contrast from time to time on stage that I think I might play up.
Yeah.
So in any event, Michael is a very self-confident person, and I don't think that he has any issues with that. I hope he doesn't.
No, I don't think so. He's a extrovert.
Right.
Because he's
Right.
a performer,
Right.
vocal performer.
Right, and quite excellent.
Yes, he is. Okay, what else is there? I guess we're going to take a trip out to the high school and see those.
Yeah, we can take a trip out
Them
to the high
digs.
school and see the contrast of what it's like out there.
I did stop in one day for some reason here, and they were set up like a train.
Right. Yeah, we will have the train scene. I'm hoping to actually build a train car. If there is anyone who is interested in helping us build the set, I would very much ask you to contact me, email Community Players, because I need carpenters. I am not a carpenter and have to rely on the good graces of others to get things like that done. We do have wood down in the basement, some wood. We always end up having to buy a lot of stuff anew because it's just easier to work with. But there is stuff tucked away here that we will probably be moving out there and using. Like there's a dandy platform there, and these are set walls that have been set aside. That's a door, and we have more like this in the basement. We have these platforms, which our CPAC uses, like when Vic Ferrari comes in.
Oh, yeah.
You need to generally put the drums up on a riser, and these are the risers. I think these three and that one are the same height, and this one's just a little taller. So we do have some stuff, but I'm going to have to buy locally and get more. The All-American Do-It Center, and go out and see Steve Bailey at Bailey's Paints. And
Yes.
he's usually very good to us.
He is.
And
Walsh's Ace Hardware.
Walsh's Ace Hardware is good to us. We get stuff there.
So this set for the train, is it going to be on a platform that with shaker? What's the word?
Well, that would be great
Like
if,
kind
if
of-
we could build in.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have Glenn Dunn, who's the stage manager and the assistant director. We'll give him like a little board under it. and
Like they
jump
used to
up and
do.
down on it.
Yes, in the Hollywood
and
films.
Make them,
Yep.
that's actually not the worst idea. We'll just have to explain to people why there's this curtain in front of the train or to one side of the train so that they don't see him
Right.
bouncing. But yeah, the train cars would be on what we call in the theater wagons. They're wagons. And they're on casters, usually with big wheels, so they're not going to break. And we roll them in and roll them out. So I'm hoping to have the show takes place. It starts out on the 4th of July in River City, Iowa. And we're going to have buildings that we will make in the background. We're going to have the train car for the men in the train, that well-known song, where they're imitating the train sounds. And
I forgot the name of it.
yeah, it's called Rock Island.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think they're supposed to be coming from Rock Island, Illinois into Iowa.
Okay.
I want to build a Peru house. Now, Marion, the librarian's name is Marion Peru, and she's with her mother and her brother Winthrop, who is Liam Starks in this show. And Catherine Peru, the mother, I'm sorry, Mrs. Peru, the mother, is Catherine Miller, who is the vocal director from Kickapoo High School and
All
who
right.
directs her own shows. So it's quite an honor to have her in this show. And we're going to roll in the Peru house from the outside, from the shop, and I can show you that at the high school. But that's going to be another wagon with the whole house, I'm hoping. I just need someone to build this. And there's scenes in the high school auditorium at River City, and there we're just going to use risers and probably this podium, although I'd like a fancier one if I could find it. They're just having an assembly there. That's another scene. Then there's the library, where we're going to have the central table and the two desks. And then there's the footbridge. And I found, rather to my surprise, you can buy a metal footbridge from Amazon for like $250. And it's made of, metal pieces, however long, and you just screw the whole thing together. And so you can get an 8-foot black footbridge.
Oh,
And that's what I plan on doing because I don't have the capabilities to build a footbridge. I'd like a nice wooden footbridge if I had carpenters, but how to build a curve is
very different. Yeah, it's different.
beyond me.
Yeah.
You've got to bend the wood, or you've got to have a huge piece of wood and cut the arc out, or I don't know. I've seen a carpenter, Greg Schmidt, bend smaller pieces of wood by just cutting halfway through them,
Yes.
and then you can make it bend. But that was decorative and not weight supporting, so I don't think that
And this is a nighttime scene anyway.
it is.
And
It
maybe
is.
with some flowers, you could kind of hide the fact
Well,
that it's
yeah,
metal.
we
or,
could,
paint it.
they could certainly have a metal footbridge. It would just be nicer to have a wooden footbridge. It would look more substantial. And a little fancier, perhaps.
Would you want to paint it white or something?
Well, we could do that. I think I would paint it silver, actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would actually, no. I will talk to the technical director, Brandon Merkel, who is now the technical director of the Al Ringling Theater in Baraboo.
Yes.
I should mention. He got that job, and I'll talk to him about what the color would be. And my guess is he would say to paint it off-white, because that is going to take the colors from the lights better, and so we could change the color of the bridge by changing the color of the lights.
And he certainly doesn't mince words. He would tell you.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we generally do not tiptoe around each other after
No.
having worked together for however many years, 20
Many years
now.
yes.
Yes, I think that Brandon and I do the least tiptoeing around each
You
other.
speak the same language, so to speak.
Yes, and right, we have to just make sure that small children aren't present.
Oh, I know.
So
Gosh darn it.
anyway, right. Well, I'm pretty good at that with the grandson now. I have changed my,
Have you tempered your speech?
I've tempered my speech.
Oh, that's good. That's good, yes.
When then something goes, if I stub my toe, I say sugar. So anyway,
I don't know how you catch yourself.
right. Well, it's just a habit once
Yeah.
you get it down. So
Well, I was watching the other night The Unsinkable Molly Brown, and there's a scene where, anyway, they're in the kitchen and they both say, well, you know, she should have invited you to that dinner party. They both they say bull sugar at the same time, and then they shake hands. So that was apparently was a saying, a euphemism.
yeah, we have Joe Obday is playing the part of Tommy, and he says, what is it? Jimmy Cly, something like that. It's this made-up profanity that I have never heard of outside of the Music Man. So, Geely Cly. I'm currently reading a book written by the fellow that wrote the story, the song, everything for the Music Man. He wrote the whole, Meredith Willson, his name is.
Okay.
And I'm reading a book about the making of the Music Man, and I was hoping to find out like where he got Geely Cly from and stuff like
How
that.
do you spell it?
Jeelykly.
I wonder if it's Jesus Christ.
Wow. Shh.
I mean, it could be.
Could be. It could be just.
I mean,
just
Gadzooks,
yeah.
Cripes.
Jiminy
Oh,
Crickets.
yeah.
Which Dorothy used in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Sure, it's the same thing. But Jiminy Crickets is a lot cuter than that.
Yes, right.
So this one's Geely Cly. And his girlfriend is Zanita, who is being played by Olivia Monet. And she's always saying, "Ye gods, ye gods."
I remember that.
Yeah.
And that, when the high school did it, that was changed to Ye Gads.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of this is undergoing a lot of changes so as not to offend people. The Broadway show, of course, they changed a lot of things.
Yeah, what is that about? Because I'm not as familiar with the play as you are, of course. What was all the hubbub about? Well, you were on the morning show. About,
What they
number
did
was
they took the song Shipoopi, which starts out, "A girl little kiss on the very first date is anything but fussy, is probably a hussy. And the girl little kiss on the second date is anything but fussy." So they say it's slut shaming, and so
Oh.
they changed the lyrics to "a boy that doesn't expect a girl to kiss on the first date is a good guy," which is fine, I'm saying, but it takes all of the kind of amusement and bite or whatever you will out of the song. It just makes it a bland.
yes.
There's no I don't know what the word is there. I think I used the word salt when I was on the radio. But everything just becomes this bland nothing.
I think there's sometimes too much of not putting things into historic perspective.
Right. It was just supposed to be an amusing song,
Written in the 50s.
Right. Yeah. He wrote these in the 50s, and the show finally came out on December 19th of 1957, which I know from reading the book. But we discovered a scene last night that I won't even go into, that there were words that I did not understand, and I asked Mike Ames, I don't get that. And he explained it to me, and I was a little bit shocked. But I might sanitize that part. I don't know if people would even catch it.
They're spoken so quickly?
Well, it's such a kind of oblique reference, but I
okay.
really don't want to go into it. But it is not an absolutely antiseptically. It is by our standards today. I don't think there's anything shocking or anything like that. But I was a little surprised at a couple of the references.
Well, about 10 years ago on Facebook, there was a hubbub about "Baby, It's Cold Outside" by Frank Lesser.
Right.
I just say let it go. It was written in the 40s.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think that's a cute, amusing song that a lot of people like and understand. And anyway, I guess I won't say more.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
And neither will I.
right.
For a change.
Except that I love the Dean Martin version of that. So.
Oh, okay. I had seen it in a movie with.
Sure. Well, it's an Elf. It's an Elf with Zoe Deschanel and the fellow that plays Elf.
Yes.
That's the only. Will
Ferrell or
That's not Will Ferrell, but in any event, that's the only movie that I like him in.
Okay.
Actually, so.
Well, I saw the version with Red Skelton, Ricardo Montalban. It's not like the best movie, but that song is in there too. "Baby, It's Cold Outside."
Oh, and who sang the male part?
Ricardo Montalban.
Wow.
But I think the thing is he keeps keeping her from leaving and pulling her back in.
Well, that's a little bit more questionable
Right.
than this cute little song where Dean Martin just doesn't want her to leave.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Anyway, let's see. What's the play again? Oh, that's right.
Right. It's the Music Man.
Oh, I'd forgotten.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Are we going to the high school?
We are. Should we go now?
Now we are at Richland Center High School's auditorium, built in 1996, open fall of 1996. And I am standing over the orchestra pit, which is the one everybody always falls into. And here's Andrew. The stage is bigger, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness, yes. It's something that is twice as big as far as length and width is like, 4 times as big, 8 times as big. I always did well in math, but I never really enjoyed it. And I'm sure that all of the math people can give us the actual what it is. But just being slightly deeper and slightly wider, and it's not slightly, it's substantially, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's probably 4 of the stages out at the City Auditorium, or the equivalent of. And it's empty and beautiful and wonderful, and we appreciate the Richland Center High School administration allowing us to use this very, very, very much. And,
This, I think, was built for what I'm going to call for choir band, not so much flying.
Correct. I was actually out here when they were building it. As I remember, Mike Malarkey was on the school board then and brought me out here to take a look. And I was making suggestions to them, but by then it was too late. Of course, the plans had been drawn up.
Why wouldn't they listen to you to change the plans or anything?
Right, I should have written the architects and demanded certain changes. There's no trapdoor, which I wanted. For Shakespearean productions, you almost always need a trapdoor. Hamlet's father's ghost comes out of a trapdoor. And then the top of the stage is not as high up as one would like it, so you can't, if you've got a piece of scenery that is tall enough to cover the front of the stage here, it's too tall to be drawn up into what we call the flies. In fact, I was talking to Brandon Merkel, and the specs are only that there's like 4 feet above the pipes for the lights. Trying to think of the word, and I'm not coming up with it. The lighting pipes. There's only like 4 feet. But he does have the ability to pull something up even without more fly space by putting it on pulleys and doing like an accordion pull up on it. So we will see. But yes, I mean, the hugeness, looking out over it, is just wonderful.
Can we go look at how much
And
room there is?
here we have the loading dock. So what I'm thinking is the Peru house can be stored here in this space. Probably it'll be stored actually this way. And we'll bring it out the door here between these curtains and out onto the stage. And then when we're done with that, we'll just put it back out there. But there is substantially more room. I was out here with Brandon Merkel a few days ago, and he pulled the curtains out for me to show me how much coverage that you have. So it's substantially more. We have space to hide things. There is a white drop called a sight, and where is it? It must be, oh, it's right there. So, and it's what they call a traveler, meaning quite simply that it travels across the stage. So we can put this cyc out, this white backdrop, and get it stretched out so that it's flat, and then use that to project light against. That's very nice.
Did you do that for West Side Story?
Yes.
All right.
To give the sunset-y kind of looks and stuff. It really gives you the look and the atmosphere. And of course, if you go to a show nowadays, sometimes somebody was just telling me that they went to a show at like the Overture in Madison, and it was all projected. It was all projections.
Wow.
Yeah, there was basically no set. The actors were out on stage with just a projected background. So
Well, that saves some labor. Well, the lighting department has to work, but
right. Well, I wanted to do that actually for Elf the Musical. We were talking about doing it until Brandon told us that the projector would run us $15,000 or $20,000, and that was the end of that.
for what, 2-week
Because-
rental or something? Like
No, to buy.
Oh, to buy.
I suppose we could have rented one for a few $1,000s, but community players need your support because we don't have $10,000, $20,000 to spend on things. We hardly have $2,000 or $3,000 to spend on things. So we're always doing things on kind of a shoestring and pay you later deals. So.
Sometimes the best ideas come out of limited budgets because you have to problem solve.
Yeah.
That's
thank
what I
you.
say. Yeah, I mean, you know.
Right. Well, I'd like to have terrible, expensive ideas and be able to pay for them. It would be nice.
Is this going to be used to project, well, not cityscapes here, but just anything? The town or the,
No, we're just going to use it to project lights onto.
okay.
We're going to build a town. Now, if we cannot use the orchestra pit, we're going to have to put the orchestra on stage, we don't have any choice. It's too big to fit out in the audience anywhere. And my current thinking is that we will build some buildings here and hang them from this pipe if Brandon gives me the okay. Well, and maybe not that pipe. In any event, we'll hang them. We could actually hang it from somewhere here. And so we have buildings that are tall, like 12 feet tall and wide. And behind the buildings, the orchestra will actually be here. And of course, they will have egress on both sides to be able to get
So
in
from
and out.
about this line back?
Yeah, about this line. I think they're going to need a little more room than that. Logan was also out here, Logan Willis, and we were looking at it. And
How many people and what instruments?
Logan currently has, I believe, 23 people. 23.
Oh, I was thinking more like 9.
No, I think it's 23. I know he told me he's got 3 trombones, and I can't remember everything else that he listed off, but quite a bit. I remember the 3 trombones.
Yeah. You have
so-
to have those for this musical because it's,
Right, it's a brass,
yep.
it's a marching band.
Maybe they're French horns or something.
And then Aaron Starks has been asking friends for unused musical instruments for the boys to play in the boys' band when they're on stage, and obviously the real band will be playing the music while the boys fake it. And so the real band gets to play terribly, which I hope is fun for them, because the boys are supposed to be terrible.
Right.
Playing Beethoven's Minuet in G. La di da di da di da.
Yeah. That's become a cliche of
Right.
like everything.
Well, I found out that Meredith Wilson was in a band when he was young in Mason City, Iowa, which is where he grew up. And one of the songs, the only song they could make it all the way through was Beethoven's Minuet in G. So that's why he picked
Oh, okay.
that song. So it's nostalgic for him.
I think a lot of people still have, we used to call cornets or trumpets stashed away in the basement. That
Right,
Nobody
yes, yeah.
played. They're not interested. They graduated from high school and they're gone.
Right. If anybody would like to allow us to use one, we'll try and take good care of it. But people are giving us old ones that, like Shay Schmidt, who is playing Marion, very beautiful, very gifted. She has an old flute. She played the flute.
Okay.
So she's got her good one and her old one. Well, she's going to let us use the old one. So very
Oh,
kind
good.
of her.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Those are expensive. You know.
Right. No, I know. My grandson decided to play the trumpet, and so we just signed up to rent a trumpet. And I was just wondering if he plays the trumpet like all the way through his high school career, how many trumpets will we have bought by paying rent on his trumpet?
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, the high school would rent like oboes because nobody would ever own an
Okay.
oboe.
Huh.
And then because the reeds were so expensive, the rent was cheap because the reeds were outrageous. Those little thin.
Oh, really?
And the bassoons also had very expensive reeds. My sister played the bassoon.
I would think that you would buy those like by the gross
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
to try to.
They're perfect for marching bands.
Yeah, I always just, they kind of use a reed 2 or 3 times and then spit it out and get another one. I
Right.
always thought, yeah.
Disposable.
Yeah, right. Well, they're made of wood. So.
Do you think you could, what was I going to say about I'm getting back to that. Oh, that white runner during the bridge scene, could you project
Well,
woods?
that's a sore point because that's what I wanted
We
to
should
do.
change the subject then. Or you can talk about it.
The whole reason that I did not want to have fixed buildings here was so that we could use the psych for the bridge scene and have a nice background. But it just wouldn't work. I couldn't get everything to work out, the scene changes and stuff like that. And it all became fixed. The problem was solved if we had a fixed set and if we played the bridge scene in front of one of the black curtains. So there's black curtains here that are also travelers. Like here is one. This one comes out and closes all the way. Looking at the tracks, here is another.
Yep.
So we're probably going to play the bridge scene in front of this one. We'll put the bridge here, and we'll decorate this smaller space, but it's supposed to be at night.
Yeah,
So we'll just
which is
have
probably
to-
luckily, so you don't have to
right.
have trees.
Well, it would have been so much nicer to have like a sunset in the background, but you
Why can't Brandon do that?
well,
Brandon,
no,
if you're
no,
watching,
he could. He could. The problem is that if we're going to have the band on stage, which we're being forced to do because we can't use the pit, we've got to have something to cover the band, so we've got to leave the buildings here.
yeah,
Otherwise, we could potentially make the buildings so that they could be moved off to one side or the other and then use it. I mean, it's still possible. I have asked the high school if we could pay the insurance for using the pit, and I have not yet heard back, but I'm hoping to hear back. When we did Mary Poppins here, Mary Poppins and Peter Pan,
Yeah.
we actually flew people.
Yes.
We paid the insurance for the liability of flying people. So I'm wondering if we could pay the insurance for the liability of someone falling into the pit.
okay.
And then we could use the pit, which would obviously be better for everybody. But we'll have to see. Then they could also pay me for my guitar, which during Sound of Music, and I was Captain Von Trapp playing the song Edelweiss on my 12-string guitar.
Yeah.
And Glenn dropped my guitar off of the stage into the pit. But you know what? The guitar actually was not hurt.
Oh,
Here, you know, is a person less breakable than a 12-string guitar? I don't know.
this is so philosophical.
Yeah, well, I guess. It's just me complaining. But
You
I
know-
love to complain,
Oh, I do
because
too.
everyone who knows me knows.
When the high school did The Music Man, like many years ago,
Right.
they had a complete backdrop of storefronts that they had rented.
Okay.
And I don't know where Pam Kintz would know.
Well, you can rent backdrops. I'm thinking of renting one for up here. That's what I was talking about that Brandon could pull up.
Okay.
Because it would be more interesting than the black curtains. But it'd be basically $1,000 to rent a cheap one for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you want to buy one, it's like $8,000, which is absurd. Like so many theater things are priced.
Can you use, is there a scrim here that you can just paint and it's light, light as a
We
feather?
could, yes, Brandon has told me that we could simply buy a white muslin scrim and paint it. But then I'm going to have to get a scenic artist that can actually paint decently to come in and do that. Now, if anybody wants to volunteer to paint a 35-foot by 18-foot backdrop for us, I mean, we have done it. It's not like it's impossible. We have done it. But at this point, I don't have anybody that's willing to paint that.
You're somebody who has to understand perspective.
Right.
And that instead of, you always have to run all the way to the back to say, okay, that looks good. Then you run back
Right.
up here.
You've also got to have the touch. My first wife, Lena Palionis,
I was just gonna-
has painted backdrops for us. She had a college degree in fine arts. She certainly had the touch. Helen Mar Adams, who's
Yep.
from Blue River, painted our stuff both for Heidi and for Elf the Musical. She has the touch. But you can only go to the well so many times, and some people have lives and want to do other things other than spend their time in a theater all summer,
Well, I suppose.
I suppose. I generally try to avoid people like that, but,
Well, I think it's worth asking anyway.
Right, so if anybody is out there that would like to do that, we would be more than happy. I would be more than happy to buy the scrim and get the paint from Bailey's or somewhere else and paint it.
Yeah.
But beyond my capabilities, building the set's beyond me, painting a backdrop is really beyond me, so, yeah.
What would be on that backdrop? Just,
Well, some type of bucolic scene. In the Broadway show, they had one that looked like a big kind of barn brown building, and they actually had a door in it. Of course, this is Broadway in New York. They actually had a door in it. That was nice. And then they had one that showed like buildings out in the countryside. It was like a farmhouse out in the country. Was one that they used. So it could be any type of backdrop that would be consistent with a small town in Iowa in 1912.
why not the scrim and then project onto it?
Because we can't afford the projector, we still can't afford the projector.
Why
Well, okay.
Why is that so special?
Yeah, you got me. Why does the Army buy hammers for $75? And that was 20 years ago. They make this stuff so expensive because they can.
Yeah.
Why do professional football players get paid $25 million? Because they can. So they stick it to you.
Yeah.
Pardon my bluntness, because they can. They assume that, you know,
So you can't-
professional theater companies obviously can pay umpty bucks for things.
Well, go to Full Compass and rent one for some amount. I don't know.
Well, okay, we could. That's an awful lot of money when we have a limited budget.
Yeah.
I won't even tell you what our budget is right now because it's so shockingly small, you'd be shocked. But we simply can't afford to do something like that.
What is special about that projector? I mean, we used to watch slides in our living room. I know it's not the same
Well, okay,
thing.
but then you're going to get a slide quality.
Right.
You're going to have to project from way back there
That's
onto a screen here.
At least
It's gonna
100
have to look
feet.
good.
Yeah.
So I don't want just a slide of something. And of course, I don't even know that a front projection is going to work. If we put the screen down here and have the actor standing here, there's going to be huge shadows, which is going to dispel the illusion that you're watching a real thing happening.
And there's no room for rear projection.
Well, you could potentially rear project, but then that's going to get in the way of everything else.
Yeah.
So then you've got to have all this clear, and you couldn't have buildings there. Projection is just beyond our limited financial capabilities.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll keep bringing it up.
well, thank you.
So here we are above the pit that hopefully will be removed.
The one nice thing about this for me, of course, the lighting is more difficult once you move down here, and Brandon will certainly tell me that, but it gives you additional footage. We don't want to come up too far, but we can put things here and play it more forward. I like to play my scenes front and center as much as we can. So I guess it is nice to have this. When we were out here and did Godspell 24 years ago, we had the band on stage behind us and used the front here a lot. So it certainly is useful.
Well, that's a rock opera.
Right,
So
there
you,
was only like a 6
They're
or
over
7
here.
piece orchestra.
and to show it was
Right.
appropriate because that's
Right. That's what it's for.
Right.
Yeah. Led by George Loudmeyer III.
Yep.
Rest his soul in peace. And I don't know. I'm really going back into history that people probably don't know or care about. But David Letterman's band leader was, and I can see his face, or was it Johnny Carson's band leader for a while?
Doc Severson. Yeah, Severson.
That was Doc Severinsen. Yeah, I've got to be thinking of David Letterman's, and I can see his face. But he started out, he's a Canadian, and they were doing Godspell in Montreal, and he came in with a friend who wanted to try out and played the piano for him. to try out. And then the producers of the show said, could you play piano for our show? And he goes, sure. And then they said, well, could you find a band also to go along? And so he ended up being the band for the Godspell that they were doing in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Back in like 1971 or 72. Famous guy, and I can't think of his name.
He was
He's the band leader for Saturday Night Live back in the heyday, back in the 70s. So, anyway.
I can't even think of his name.
Yeah, I can see his face and not think of his name. It's because I'm trying to. Once you get over 60, any name that you're trying to think of eludes you.
Well, when you approach 60, let me know.
Yeah, okay.
Now, this getting back to Godspell, which was the first one in summer of 2000, the band was visible. It was guitar and drums and.
Right.
But which one was it where the lights were visible, and some of the people didn't care for that because they said you should never see the source of the lights? Was that Joseph or Godspell, where Aaron Clark had the lights on stage and you could see them? Must have been Joseph.
Well, I don't know that. I know Aaron Clark did the lights for Godspell. I don't know who did the lights for Joseph. I was the Pharaoh in Joseph, but that was directed by Gene Burkett and Nancy Keegan.
Yeah,
So maybe it was still Aaron Clark.
it was.
Okay.
That's right. And there was some disagreement about you shouldn't see, it was old school, like you shouldn't see the source of the lights.
Okay, that's Gene. Gene is very old school.
Right,
And,
traditional, and
right,
it's a rock opera,
right,
so I guess
right.
to each his own.
Well, that's one little controversy that I never heard about.
Oh, you weren't, the backstage gossip, oh, my. You know, this theater is also known for being very humid.
It
And
is
warm.
humid. Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll click on the air conditioning once we're out here. I guess I'll have to ask if that can be done.
The summer of when they did 1776, it was about 100 outside, and it was the way they built this high school was that, do you want this cool or do you want the gymnasium way over on the other end? You can't have them both.
Huh.
So
Maybe
somebody,
it's just a cost thing.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. It's going to be better than the city auditorium, which does have air conditioning in the office space and stuff like that, but we haven't turned the air conditioning on for the theater. And that brick building slowly heats up over the summer and gets very warm.
it does.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be usable.
right.
Okay, anything else?
Well, no, I think it's going to be a good show. I've got good people, and good people makes for a good show. So,
Are they dependable? They show up.
yes.
That has a lot to
yes.
do. That has a lot to do with it.
Well, we've had a lot of summer vacations lately. People have gone on vacation and haven't been there for one reason or another. And I'm hoping once we're back out to the high school, and I'm hoping that most of the summer vacations are over with,
Right.
we'll have more people out here. So,
Yeah. Well,
I
good.
mean, it's just typical. 20 years ago, I would have thrown a conniption fit that so many people were missing rehearsal, but I've kind of mellowed and accepted the fact that that's going to happen. So,
Right. And so no one tried out for a part and said, by the way, I'll be in Europe this summer?
No, obviously, back when we did what I still think is my best show, which was West Side Story, Todd Keller, that was the summer that they were going to Germany. So he was going to go to Germany for 3 weeks. And I went, he's only the lead in the show. And I went with Aaron Starks, was Marion. And I went, all right. I wanted him so bad that I said, okay. And he actually came back early
Wow.
because he wanted to get here and rehearse.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good cast.
Yeah. Well, that proves my point. If you got good people, you've got a
Liz
good show.
Sapek?
Yeah, Liz Sapek,
Niemeyer.
who is now the choral director here and is allowing us to use her rooms and things, for which we thank her very much, and borrow costumes, for which we thank her. Yeah, she played Anita in that show.
Yep.
and was exceptional. The quintet of tonight was just
Oh.
absolutely the high point of that production.
What's his name?
Yeah, Paul Hibbard,
Yeah, Paulie.
Hibbard,
Yep, Paul Hibbard.
Todd, Liz.
That was unbelievable.
It was Clara Solinger as Maria, and
That was like you'd see in Madison. I mean, or beyond.
I think it was better than what you would see in Madison, right? I think it
It's
was.
just a
We saw, and Peggy Veith was the musical director for that. Peggy and I and a group of people, Cindy Chicker, went to Milwaukee because Milwaukee was doing it, and I watched UW Milwaukee's version of it and went, we can do better than that. I think we did. I know I'm braggadocio, but I thought ours was better. One of the main reasons is they
Yeah.
focused on the acting and they focused on the singing and didn't really pay any attention to the acting, and the show kind of falls flat when you do that, in my opinion.
Maybe the cast members was this part of their
It was
class?
the music, it was the music department doing the show.
Okay, well, yeah.
So whoever sings the best gets the part.
Right.
Acting regardless.
Right.
So, oh, Maria, I love you so. Yeah, it just doesn't quite do it.
That wasn't very good. Well, is that about it?
Well, it is if you stop asking me questions.
Yeah, I
If
know.
you keep asking me questions, I'll keep talking.
Well, let's see. What is this seat here? I forgot how many people this seats.
750. Now, Liz was just telling me that officially, or according to the plans or something, it was more like 800, but I think the official count is 752 or something like that, she told me.
Okay.
This is not one, well, yes, I have. I've actually counted the seats, but I don't remember what the count was at some point.
Well, we won't count them at this
Yeah, you
moment
can
because
do
it's
it by
boring.
multiplication, but I'm not gonna do that right now.
No.
But 750 some, we're only authorized to sell, well, but that's an average over time. So there's a certain number that is less than 750 tickets that we can sell per show, but that's an average over 6 shows.
But that's not the high schools. That's the person, the company where you got the script.
Right, yeah. So, yes, plenty of room for everyone, I am sure.
That's the best section, I think, right? That second one back there? I think, anyway.
I like to sit,
Were you one of those kids who sat right in the front row at a movie theater?
yeah, not at a movie theater, but certainly at a play. I like to sit right in the center of the front section myself. So,
Well, those are the expensive seats. Where
Right.
they always say the
right. Well,
third row center or whatever it is.
yeah, I went to APT to see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom a couple of nights ago, and my sister had us seats in the second row. So my
Oh,
wife actually got a kink in her neck because she had to keep turning her head over to watch what was happening. So that's how I like it. Not everybody likes it that way. So
well, wait a minute. Okay, today is Saturday. That was Thursday night you
that
went.
was Thursday, yes. But Shay and Logan are going to go see that show, and so I'm not supposed to say anything about it because I don't want to spoil it for her.
Well, how did it end? I mean,
Well, you see, the way it ended was, and the best part
best part,
was,
spoilers.
right,
See, now they don't have to go.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think of all the money I saved them.
I
by-
know.
by-
And then the chiropractic neck
Right,
problems.
right.
Okay, I think I better shut up. What time is it? Look, it's 3:02. We met at the auditorium downtown at 1:30.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to edit this, obviously.
No. Dates are,
The dates of the show are July 26th, 27th, and 28th.
Friday, Saturday,
And
Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The Saturday and Friday shows are 7 o'clock, the Sunday shows are 2 o'clock.
Okay, and it
All
runs.
tickets sold at the door. You might be able to buy tickets online. The more technological people on the board were talking about doing that, but I don't know if we're going to set up and do that or not.
Okay.
Right now, tickets at the door.
Okay, and it's going to run, well, you're going to be here for 2.5 hours for sure.
Yes, Yeah, probably with the intermission, it'll be just short of 3 hours, so that's what.
2 acts?
2 acts.
Okay.
And the first act is about twice as long as the second act,
It usually is longer, isn't it?
right? So,
Except for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which each one was 40 minutes.
oh, really?
40 and 40. It was perfect. I think that's one of the reasons I like it, because it's not a 4-hour play. But I'm not going to tell that to anybody. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy our summer weather and come back next week to see our town.